So for the past 2.5 years, I've been struggling with feeling uninspired and creative enough. Now, don't get me wrong, I still made art during this time, but mainly because I had to for art school. But right now, I'm specifically talking about personal art. Looking back, I was always constantly inspired and I practically never ran out of new ideas that I wanted to create. But at some point, I completely lost that passion to just create for myself, which leads us to today. Hey there, Neddy here. Welcome or welcome back to my YouTube channel. If you're new to my channel, hi, my name is Oge, also known online as Neddy. I'm an aspiring artist with a background in concept art and illustration, currently sharing my art journey and all the things I learned along the way here on YouTube. At the moment, I'm currently in the process of trying to fall back in love with art, overcome my artist fears, and trying to find that creative spark again. This journey has involved a lot of reflecting, stepping back, and trying to find when things started to change and why. And this made me realize that there's a part of my creative journey that I have somewhat been neglecting and is probably one of the main reasons why I've been struggling to come up with ideas or even feel inspired to create at all. So lately, I've been seeing a lot of videos online talking about how we should all consume less and do more. And while I do agree with these videos, I couldn't help but think that that wasn't necessarily the case for me, or at least it wasn't the full picture. Personally, I don't think the problem is consuming media. In fact, I would like to argue that a big part of why I hit a creative block was because I wasn't consuming enough media like I used to before. Heck, I basically stopped consuming media in general. And of course I could argue and say, I just stopped having time to do all those things, but that's actually a big problem. And let me explain. Now, some of you might have heard of the book called The Artist's Way by Julia Cameron. In it, she describes our creativity like a well. Every time we create, we're essentially pulling from that well. But here's the thing, that well isn't infinitely full. If you keep pulling from it without putting anything back, it's eventually going to run dry. And that really stuck with me because it made me realize I've been trying to draw inspiration from a well that's been nearly empty. So you might be wondering, how do we fill that well? How do we replenish the well? And the answer is simple. It's art. And I know this sounds a bit wishy-washy, but essentially, at least in my case, it's just the act of consuming more art. In the past, I would play video games with visuals that would make me want to immerse myself into their world and create my own worlds and stories in return. I would read comics from various artists with different unique art styles that I would aspire and aim to reach. But lately, as embarrassing as it sounds, I barely listen to music, and I'm not kidding. I have to remind myself to listen to music. As artists, consuming all these various art forms is what keeps us inspired to create. So without that in my life, it left me feeling dull and unmotivated. Okay, so hopefully at this point of the video, we both agree that consuming art isn't the problem, and in fact is very essential for artists and creatives in order for us to be inspired to create. But here's the second thing that we have to keep in mind. Not all consumption is equal. It's not enough to just keep consuming and consuming. We also have to be intentional about what type of art we consume and how we consume it. I'll give an example in my case. During my time in art school, when I was putting all my energy into trying to improve my skills and building a portfolio, I found that I only paid attention and consumed only one type of art, concept art. And while I do love concept art, that is basically where my passion lies, only consuming that as inspiration basically gave me tunnel vision. And I feel like I'm not the only one that has this problem of constantly hyperfixating on one specific type of art or media to consume. Sometimes I look at other artists, especially beginner to intermediate artists, and I can immediately tell where they are drawing all their inspiration from, whether it's a specific artist or a specific art style, media, like you can just instantly tell. And sure, it's not bad, but it's not necessarily good as well. It can start to make our work feel stale, and worst case scenario, just look like a lesser version or a bad replica of the original source. And that's why it's very important to diversify and consume from other type of art and media as well. Even things that you wouldn't typically consider art, like maybe music, dance, fashion, textile, drama, any form of creative expression is still art that we need to consume that can help fuel that well. Also, for all the doom scrollers out there that spend hours on Instagram and Pinterest trying to find inspiration, yeah, I see you. I'm talking to you. You're not. Don't cover your face. I can see you. I'm talking directly to you. Stop, okay? Just stop. You're not fooling anyone. Stop. Mindlessly scrolling online isn't the same as intentional consumption. And it's extremely important that we have to be intentional about what and where we're consuming from, especially being extra careful with what we consume. With the rise of AI generated media, we want to make sure that we're consuming art made from the love, sweat, and passion of other fellow humans. That's why moving forward, I really want to put more effort into supporting more independent projects. I've always been inspired by artists who take the initiative to bring their ideas to life, especially as someone who hopefully wants to start, creating my own personal projects in the future. And that's why I was super excited when Steamroller Studios reached out to collaborate and help promote their recent indie animation project, Spice Frontier. Spice Frontier is a sci-fi animated adventure that follows 6 crew members as they travel in search of the last of Earth's spices scattered across the cosmos. In the pilot episode, Escape from Veltaga, things go sideways as the crew crash lands on a harsh desert planet. With their ship out of commission, we watch as they scramble to fix it, all while trying to avoid drawing attention from the planet's mysterious and maybe not so friendly inhabitants. Created by a former DreamWorks animator, the story is inspired by Star Trek and Anthony Bourdain's Parts Unknown, but with their own twists, which gives it a fun and creative spin on the sci-fi adventure genre. My roommate and I absolutely loved watching it. The animation, character design, backgrounds, the art style is just so quirky and unique. The art that I'm working on in this video is actually a little fan art portrait of Ada, one of the crew members. I absolutely loved her bubbly energy and personality, and I found her design so cute that I just had to draw her. But if I had to pick a favorite character, I'll probably go with Sela because I'm just a sucker for strong, badass female cyborgs. The pilot is now live on Steamroller Stories YouTube channel, and I've got a direct link to it in the description and pinned comment. Steamroller Animation is hoping to turn the pilot into a full series, and your support can genuinely help make that happen. I highly recommend checking it out. I'm super excited to see what comes next, and I'm honestly just really glad that I can help promote such an awesome project created by passionate and extremely skilled artists from all around the world. Huge thanks again to Steamroller Animation for sponsoring this video. Don't forget to check out the pilot once again, link down below. Now, as I mentioned earlier, there are a lot of videos out there preaching on the importance on consume less and do more. And again, while I don't fully agree with that statement, what I definitely stand by is the do more part of it. I definitely agree that it can become a bad habit for artists to just keep consuming and consuming and consuming without channeling all that inspiration to actually creating work. And that's when it becomes a serious problem. The goal of intentional consumption isn't to just absorb all this media and end up doing nothing with it. As I said, no more mindless scrolling. Pay attention to what inspires you. Ask yourself questions like, why does this move me? What can I take from this? Be more observant and really focus on the feeling while you're consuming. Then channel all that into creating something that is unique to you. Because at the end of the day, the goal is to become better artists. And you can't do that without actually creating art. Creativity is a simple cycle. Consume, reflect, create, repeat. And since I started consuming more intentionally, I've seen a huge spike in my inspiration levels and just general creativity. I've been feeling more excited to create, having a lot more ideas, and yeah, just all in all been enjoying the creative process. It's honestly so crazy to me how it's the little things that we don't pay attention to that eventually piles up and leads us straight into a creative block. I really do hope that this video can serve as a reminder to anyone out there who's neglecting consuming and nourishing their creative well, because it's very important. It sounds very simple, but a lot of people do forget the importance. Thank you so much for watching this video. Feel free to leave any form of media that inspires you down in the comments, and I'll see you in the next video.